The chamber smelled of ancient starlight and bureaucratic fear. Professor Cale Veyron adjusted his ceremonial sash, 14 layers of iridescent silk, each representing one of the Galactic Qualification Board's founding species, and stared at the dossier on his podium. He had reviewed it 3 times. He stared at it a 4th. Human. Terran. Deathworld Classification, Category 9. He had been director of the board for 61 years. In that time, he had processed candidates from 42 civilizations. Gas breathers. Crystalline hive minds. A species made entirely of cooperative fungi. Not a single one had ever applied from a Category 9 world. Category 9 meant, your planet is actively trying to kill everything on it. Category 9 meant, we don't expect you to survive the paperwork. And yet, Mara Ellison had not only submitted paperwork. She had submitted it early. With a cover letter. The cover letter contained a joke. Cale had not understood the joke. His xenolinguistics assistant had explained it twice. He still didn't understand it. He was beginning to suspect that was the point. He smoothed his sash and spoke into the amplifier. Send her in. The door opened. Mara Ellison was, by galactic standards, unremarkable to look at. Bipedal. Soft-tissued. No natural armor, no venom glands, no echolocation, he had checked the file. She stood roughly 1.7 meters tall, which put her somewhere between a juvenile Tharkin and a particularly short Valorian desk clerk. Her hair was pulled back in a practical knot. She wore the standard applicant's tunic, though she had, he noticed with a blink, rolled the sleeves up. She smiled at him. It was a very specific kind of smile. Cale had catalogued thousands of alien expressions. He recognized this one from xenopsychology texts, the smile that knows something you don't. Professor Veyron, she said. Her translator chip rendered it in perfect galactic standard. I've been looking forward to this. Yes. He cleared his throat. Miss Ellison. I want to be transparent with you. The board designed these 6 trials specifically to assess whether a candidate from your, unusual world of origin possesses the cognitive, physiological, and psychological resilience required for Deathworld certification. The trials are, by design, extraordinarily difficult. Great, said Mara. Cale paused. I should clarify. Extraordinarily difficult. Several of the trials have never been completed. Even better, said Mara. She picked up the trial manifest from the welcome podium and scanned it. Her eyes moved quickly. Okay. Let's go. Trial 1. The Labyrinth of Sensory Erasure. The board had constructed it to disorient. Total darkness. Sound-dampening fields. A maze that shifted every 40 seconds, built to strand candidates in a sensory void until panic overwhelmed them. The average candidate lasted 11 minutes before triggering the emergency beacon. Mara emerged in 4 minutes and 32 seconds. She was humming something. When Cale's assistant pressed a sensor to the exit door, they discovered she had been using the vibration of the shifting walls to map the maze's movement pattern. She had treated the shifting as a clock, then used the clock as a compass. Humans navigate by sound, the assistant whispered to Cale. Apparently, Cale said faintly, they navigate by everything. Trial 2, Thermal Extremity Endurance. The chamber swung between -60 and +80 degrees Celsius in irregular cycles. No candidate from a temperate world had lasted more than 20 minutes. Mara lasted the full required hour. She spent the cold phases doing what she later described as box breathing and focusing on core temperature. She spent the hot phases stretching. The board's medical monitor flagged her biometrics as alarming and then, after reviewing Earth's average summer temperatures and ocean depths and tectonic history, quietly revised the flag to consistent with species of origin. When she emerged, her cheeks were flushed. She looked annoyed. Not frightened. Annoyed. The temperature swings weren't random, she told Kale afterward, unprompted. You were running a pattern. Fibonacci sequence in the interval timing. That was a nice touch, actually. Kale stared at her. You were solving it while enduring it? She shrugged. Gives you something to focus on. Trial 3, The Negotiation Trap. A simulated alien faction, modeled on the Vreth, a species known for bad faith diplomacy, was given instructions to stall, destabilize, and ultimately trick the candidate into signing a false treaty. The point was to test patience and political intelligence. Mara identified the simulation was designed to fail her within 6 minutes. She then proceeded to continue the negotiation anyway, building a completely genuine rapport with the Vreth actors, got them to laugh twice. The actors later submitted confused reports to Kale about whether they had been manipulated, and produced a compromise framework that the simulation's AI flagged as actually viable. The trial coordinator pulled Kale aside. She was supposed to fail this one. The Vreth faction's victory condition was hard-coded. What happened? She found a third option we didn't program. A pause. She also left them a gift. A drawing of something called a peace crane. I don't know what it is. Neither do I, said Kale, pressing his fingers to his temple ridge. Keep going. Trial 4, Psychological Isolation. 48 hours. No contact. No stimulation. A white room. This was the one the board was most confident about. Isolation broke minds. Even strong minds. Even trained minds. At hour 48, the monitor showed Mara sitting cross-legged in the center of the room. She had organized a small pile of lint from her tunic into a pattern on the floor. She appeared to be having a conversation. With herself, yes, but structured. She was, the behavior analyst later determined, running mental simulations of the trials she had already completed, looking for what they were actually testing underneath the surface design. She had figured out 4 of the 6 by hour 30. When the door opened, she stood up, stretched her back, and said, the last 2 trials are about fear and pain, right? Not physical pain, existential. You want to know if I'll break when something I care about is threatened. The room was silent. I'm ready, she said. Trial 5, The Sacrifice Scenario. The board presented a false but convincingly rendered scenario, a human colony in simulated distress. Mara could save them, but only by surrendering her certification, her record, and her chance to ever apply again. Most candidates calculated. Paused. Hesitated. Some chose the mission. Some chose themselves. The board evaluated the reasoning, not the choice. Mara didn't hesitate. She chose the colony. Then she immediately started looking for a third option, a way to do both, and found a procedural loophole in the simulation's framework within 9 minutes that allowed her to trigger an emergency escalation clause that legally required the board to intervene directly. She handed Kale the relevant board charter citation. She had found it in the welcome packet he'd given her on day 1. You read the charter, he said. I read everything, she said. I was nervous. Trial 6, The Final Interview. Kale sat across from her alone. No monitors. No simulation. Miss Ellison, he said. I'm required to ask, why do you want Deathworld certification? What does it give you that you cannot already achieve as a Terran citizen? Mara looked at him for a long moment. Not calculating. Just looking. It's not about what it gives me, she said. It's about what it proves. That someone from Earth can pass your trials. That what you call a Deathworld produced something worth certifying. She paused. And honestly? My grandmother came from a place where people told her she couldn't qualify for things. She qualified anyway. I guess I got that from her. Kale looked down at his manifest. 6 trials. 6 marks. All green. He looked up at the young woman from the planet that boiled and froze and shook and flooded and burned, the planet that had somehow, inexplicably, produced a creature that treated his impossible gauntlet as a moderately interesting afternoon. He stamped the certification. "Welcome," said Professor Cale Veyron, director of the Galactic Qualification Board, "to the register, Miss Ellison." Mara Ellison smiled, that same smile, the one that knew something he didn't. "Thank you, Professor," she said. "Tell your board, we're just getting started." In the archive logs of the Galactic Qualification Board, Trial Set 7, designed the following year, was internally codenamed the Human Problem. It was designed to be harder. Mara Ellison cleared it in a day and a half. She left a peace crane on the exit podium.